Episode 1, The Shadow of War. In 480 BCE, the Persian Empire under King Xerxes prepared to invade Greece. Having inherited the ambition of his father Darius, who had failed at Marathon, Xerxes assembled a massive force, some say over 2 million men, though modern estimates suggest around 200,000 soldiers. This army represented the might of the East, a coalition of nations and warriors from across the empire. In response, the Greek city-states, usually bitter rivals, formed a fragile alliance. Sparta, led by King Leonidas, answered the call. However, due to the religious festival of Carnea, Sparta could not send its full army. Leonidas chose instead 300 of his personal royal guard, Spartan hoplites trained for war since childhood. They were accompanied by around 7,000 allies from other Greek states, including Thespians, Thebans, and Arcadians. Their plan, to hold the narrow mountain pass at Thermopylae, the hot gates, where the terrain would neutralize the Persian advantage in numbers. As they marched north, rumors spread of the Persian army's size, like a wave that darkened the sun. But the Spartans did not flinch. For them, death in battle was not feared, it was honored. Episode 2, At the Hot Gates. Thermopylae was a strategic choke point between the mountains and the sea. It allowed only a few soldiers to fight at once. Leonidas fortified the position and waited. For 2 days, the Greeks held the pass. Persian waves crashed against the Greek phalanx, but were repelled each time. The Spartans fought as one, shields overlapping, spears thrusting, unyielding. Xerxes, growing impatient, sent his elite immortals, but even they failed. The narrow path nullified their superior numbers and cavalry. Greek morale soared. Persian bodies filled the pass. Leonidas fought at the front, sword in hand, a king in bronze. To his men, he was not just a ruler, he was a warrior, one who shared their blood, sweat, and fate. But the gods, it seemed, had other plans. A Greek trader named Ephialtes revealed a hidden mountain path to the Persians. This would allow the enemy to flank the Greeks. The trap was now set. Episode 3, The Final Stand begins. At night, Persian troops quietly climbed the mountain path. By dawn, Leonidas learned of their movement. The Greeks were surrounded. Leonidas had a choice, retreat and preserve his life, or stay and die a hero. He chose the latter. He ordered most Greek forces to withdraw, leaving only the 300 Spartans, 700 Thespians who refused to leave, and a small contingent of Thebans. They prepared for a glorious death. As the sun rose, the final battle began. Outnumbered and exhausted, the Spartans formed a tight phalanx. The Persians charged, but the Greeks held firm. Spears snapped. Swords clashed. Shields shattered. Leonidas fought like a lion. He struck down dozens before falling. Around his body, his men fought even harder, protecting their king. Episode 4, The Death of Heroes. Leonidas' death did not break Spartan resolve. It forged it. They fought with rage and purpose. Some fought with bare hands when weapons failed. The Thespians died beside them, fearless. Xerxes, watching from afar, was in awe and fear. These were no ordinary men. They welcomed death. Eventually, the Persians overwhelmed them. Arrows blackened the sky. The last Spartans fought to the end. Not one surrendered. Not one fled. When the dust settled, Thermopylae was silent. Thousands of Persians lay dead. The 300 had fallen, but not in vain. Xerxes had won the pass, but he had also learned, Greek spirit could not be crushed by numbers alone. Episode 5, Immortality Through Memory. When the dust settled at Thermopylae, silence reigned. The battlefield was littered with bodies, Persian and Greek alike, but among them were the fallen heroes of Sparta and their loyal allies. Their shields were cracked, their spears broken, their armor dented and blood-stained. But their spirit, unyielding in life, echoed even louder in death. King Xerxes, frustrated and enraged by the losses his invincible army had suffered at the hands of just a few hundred men, ordered a final act of defiance. Leonidas' body, found among heaps of slain warriors, was mutilated. His head was cut off and displayed on a pike, a message to all who dared resist Persian rule. But the message did not inspire fear. It sparked something else, a fire. Across the Greek world, the tale of the 300 Spartans, the 700 Thespians, and the few who stood with them spread like wildfire. Theirs was not a story of defeat. It was one of duty, valor, and self-sacrifice. They had faced overwhelming odds and chose to stay, not because they thought they could win, but because they believed in something greater than themselves. Thermopylae became a rallying cry. The bravery shown in that narrow pass united the often divided Greek city-states. Even Athens and Sparta, longtime rivals, stood shoulder to shoulder in the wars that followed. Inspired by the stand of Leonidas and his men, the Greeks regrouped. Just months later, at the Battle of Salamis, the Greek navy crushed the Persians in a decisive sea battle. And the year after Thermopylae, at Plataea, a united Greek force finally ended Xerxes' invasion. But the legacy of Thermopylae was not only military. It was moral. It taught generations to come that courage is not measured by numbers, nor is victory always found in survival. Sometimes, to fall with honor is to achieve something even greater. The Spartans had lived, and died, by a code. Discipline. Loyalty. Sacrifice. For them, death in service of the law, of Sparta, was the highest calling. Leonidas and his men had fulfilled that calling to the letter. A stone monument was later erected at the battlefield, bearing the timeless words of the poet Simonides. Go tell the Spartans, stranger passing by, that here, obedient to their laws, we lie. Simple. Powerful. Eternal. That epitaph did more than honor the dead, it immortalized their values. For centuries to come, warriors, philosophers, and statesmen across the world would look to Thermopylae as a symbol of unyielding resolve in the face of doom. The Spartans became myth, but they were real. Flesh and blood. They had families, fears, and futures they left behind. Yet in choosing to stand at the hot gates, they carved their names into the stone of history. Thermopylae was not the end. It was a beginning, the spark that helped save Western civilization from domination. Had the Persians succeeded fully, democracy, philosophy, and much of what defines modern thought might have been lost. Today, thousands still visit the battlefield. They stand before the statue of Leonidas, gaze upon the narrow mountain pass, and imagine the roar of battle, the clash of shields, the cries of warriors who chose death over submission. They remember not just 300 men, but the idea they died for. Because some battles are not fought to be won, they are fought to be remembered. And so, Leonidas and his Spartans live on, not as fallen soldiers, but as immortals in the heart of history.